It's so late on Friday. I don't like working. Anyway, hello, my name is Alex's F1 Stuff, and today is the review for round number 3 in Hungary. 3 races on the trot, a triple header, and we go to the race that Lewis Hamilton has won the past 2 years. The 4.3 kilometre, 14-ton it's not a 14-ton track, Alex, come on. Well, I mean, could it? It could genuinely be 14 tons. It may actually be more than 14-ton track, you know? With all that asphalt, with all that tarmac, and what's that A word? Is it asphalt? I thought asphalt was... That's AstroTurf. I'm stupid and losing track of what we're talking about today. You can tell it. You can tell it's been one of those days. Ah, God. Right, let's get into the review. It is, of course, practice. It's currently 6:30 in the evening. I've missed practice 1 and practice 2. I've been at work. Got back at about 5 o'clock, 5:30-ish, and I've just been working on the Excel tables. And here they are. Practice number 1 is led by Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, a Mercedes 1-2. Right, ignore my tyre selection choices. It's wrong. Lewis Hamilton set his fastest time, a 16 flat, almost a tenth quicker than Bottas on the hard tyre. Bottas set his 16 flat, almost a tenth slower than Hamilton on the medium tyre. And then the racing points, Stroll and Perez were half a second and a second back. They were on the softs. So I think Mercedes, poof, done, gone. They then did some pookling around on the hard tyre and some soft tyre running. I used F1 tweet out this picture of the standings and the stint that they went on, so I know what tyres people used during the practice sessions. Whenever they came in, changed them. I just have no idea when they set or what tyre they used to set their fastest lap on. It's quite annoying. But yes, moving to racing point, third and fourth. Solid running. Not so many laps for Perez, but I feel they just want to be quickest in every session. They want to prove that they're quick because they can copy Mercedes and make their design their own. Possibly if they actually understand the components. Which, to be honest, they probably do, as they're not an exact copy, it's just modified slightly, so they probably do understand it more than people are led to believe. But we go to Ferrari, 6th and 7th. Not bad at all, on the medium tyre, maybe. Can't remember if they did any soft tyre running. It's been a little while since I looked at that little table. But Ferrari, 6th and 7th, not bad at all, well within the top 10, and in front of Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen down in P8, 1.4 seconds off of Hamilton. Now, he definitely set his fastest time on the soft tyre because he only did a little bit of hard tyre running. Albon down in P13, not a cracking day for Red Bull in practice 1. But I'll get onto that a little bit later on in practice 2 though, because there was a quote that came out from Max Verstappen. Who is next? McLaren. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes and trying to decide what's next before I pull up the picture. McLaren next, P9 and P11. Again, maybe soft tyre running, but maybe, as the picture shows, hard tyre running. Who knows? I don't. It's really annoying. Anyway, 9th and 10th, or 9th and 11th, not bad at all. It possibly, Austria could have been a little bit of a performance fluke for the car, so they may end up slipping back into the lower reaches of the top 10 perhaps, as Racing Point could be better than them. Renault, as Ricciardo is P5 and Ocon is in between them, may be slightly better as well. So McLaren could be in the lower reaches of the top 10 this time out. We're not sure. It's only practice 1. Next up is Haas though. I think Haas can be happy. Haas can definitely be happy. 35 laps each under their belt with definitely some medium tyre running. In between or sandwiching Alex Albon, who's really not enjoying that Red Bull. Not at all. But unfortunately, there isn't anyone else to chuck in it. You can't just boot Albon out and then who have you got? You've also got 2 Red Bull rejects in your AlphaTauri car of Kvyat and Gasly. You can't exactly promote them back up again. Then you're going to have 3 Red Bull rejects, which are constantly going to keep cycling through back into the Red Bull team because you don't have any other juniors that can come up and fill your AlphaTauri team. Red Bull they've only got Verstappen. Red Bull have only got Verstappen, and that's all they're going to have for a long time. They're just going to be cycling through all their rejects of second drivers until they find someone that actually produces some decent performances. Not saying that Albon is bad, it's just the past 3 races, yes, he was punted off in race 1 by Hamilton, but race 2 and so far, bearing in mind it's just practice 1, he hasn't really been performing too well. Next up though, Williams. Not bad at all running from Nicholas Latifi. 15th place, comfortably in front of Kvyat and Giovinazzi, and also his teammate. 6/10 clear as well, although Russell was running the hard tyre. Latifi did some soft tyre running, as in the picture, but my table says he set his time on the mediums. I need to scrap that. I either need to scrap the tyre column, or I need to find out what tyre they set their fastest lap on. Otherwise it's just not working, it's just not accurate information, and that's just pointless. But penultimately for practice 1, Alpha Tauri. Engine issues, Honda engine issues for Gasly. Honestly, it's been a little while since we've said Honda engine issues. Kvyat getting some good running in 16th as well, in front of the Alfa Romeos, and that is who we are talking about now. Disappointing. Alfa Romeo are once again, slow. Kubica was back in the car replacing Raikkonen this time rather than Giovinazzi. But yeah, still 17th and 19th, not where they want to be, not ideal, just not ideal, really not ideal at all. And that moves us swiftly on into practice number 2. Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari tops the session. However, it was wet, and about 7 drivers didn't set exactly 7 drivers did not set a time, including Hamilton, Albon, Ocon, Russell, Latifi, Magnussen and Ricciardo. But anyway, Vettel on top, 2/10 clear from Bottas, probably, maybe, the only time that Ferrari will actually lead a session this year, which is a little bit depressing. But we move to Mercedes, 2nd and 14th. Really nice picture, but bit of an odd session. Bottas only did 5 laps. I guess they didn't need to go out because maybe practice 2 and qualifying isn't going to be raining, and then the race isn't going to be raining, so there's no real gain to make from running in the rain. But yeah, to see Hamilton not set a time, just do 1 installation lap, whereas Bottas is happily P2, it would have been good, I suppose PR-wise, if Hamilton did some running, and we know he's good in the wet, just to get a Mercedes 1-2, you know? I know we see it literally every weekend, but it would have been better than a Ferrari first and Mercedes second. It'll be fine. And in 3rd place is Carlos Sainz. Again, it's raining, so it's a bit of an odd one. Norris down in... I'm mixing up my words too much today. Norris down in P12, a 46 flat 000. It's just a bit of an odd session really, because so many people didn't run, and the cars that did run, there was 7 seconds covering the 13 cars that did run, and then 7 cars didn't set a time, so it's a bit of an odd one to gauge anything really, because again it's in the rain, the car doesn't play so much a role. You can go out in the latter half where it's not so raining on the intermediate tyres and blitz everyone, perhaps like Vettel did. It's a bit of an interesting one. But we move to Racing Point. I actually had to pinch this picture from the F1 Twitter rather than Racing Point's Twitter, as they didn't upload any pictures of their car in the rain. I don't know why. Cars look better in the rain infinitely as much as they do in the dry. But 4th and 5th. Stroll ahead of Perez actually, by only just, but 6 and 5 laps. I just feel Racing Point really want to be the top and prove that their car is quick. Because they're like it's seen Williams, Renault, Red Bull, Hamilton even didn't run, so there's no real need to run, but I feel they want to because they want to prove that their car is quick. But we know it's quick because it's a Mercedes looky-likey. But we finally get to Red Bull and Max Verstappen, P7, 2.3 seconds off of Vettel, but like I've said before, times are a little bit meaningless in this session. He is not happy with, quote, the unpredictable RB16. Okay, the RB16 bit may not have been in the quote because I can't remember if the RB16 is actually this year's chassis number, but yes, he doesn't like the unpredictability of the car that he is currently driving, which could hamper his qualifying session tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. And finally, Alfa Romeo, the most laps out of anybody, with Kimi Räikkönen. A bit of an odd picture on their Twitter, sort of sliced off a lot of the car for no real reason. It's a nice picture in the rain, splashing everything up, but yeah, they've sort of chopped bits off. Anyway, 9th and 11th, just sort of doing their own thing, getting some data. Whether it's actually good, reliable data, who knows, because it's raining. May not be raining tomorrow, may not be raining on the race, so it doesn't really matter maybe. So that is it for practice 2, a rain-affected session in which Sebastian Vettel was on top. We'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow for practice 3 and also qualifying. I'll cut to that, I guess. Why can I not just speak normally? Why can I not speak normally? Why is that not a thing I can do right now? Why? And there is practice 3 all done and dusted. Bottas is on top from Lewis Hamilton in P2. Mercedes are looking mighty. Mighty Mercedes. That car is on rails. On board, it just looks incredible. It's so stable, absolutely pointing the car where they want it to go, and it's doing exactly what they want. And they are bloody quick. And speaking of being quick, Valtteri Bottas, he was almost, I think, very nearly flat out through turn 11. That super fast, I think it's is it the left-hander or is it the right-hander? Just on the end of sector 2. On board at that point, it was incredible to watch. But definitely Mercedes are the team to beat, and at the moment, it is Valtteri Bottas that has the edge. However, it's one of Lewis Hamilton's more successful circuits, 7 victories and a couple pole positions, so don't count him out just yet. And it's a difficult track to overtake on, so to have 2 equal cars and 2 equal drivers, track position and pole position, as they're going to be fighting for it, is going to be key. Speaking of no surprises, as Mercedes are again 1-2 like we've seen for a while, Racing Point in 3rd place and also 5th. As well, with Perez 3rd and Stroll 5th. No surprise at all. We know they're quick, they know they're quick, and they keep proving that they're quick. They just need to get the race results behind it, and hopefully in qualifying they might actually get on the second row. They should comfortably get there, at least with one car. Whether they'll lock out the second row, I'm not too sure. And I don't quite think they have enough to squidge onto the front row, but you never know. If Mercedes encounter some traffic, they may just end up there. However, it is Leclerc and Ferrari. Ferrari a P4. Ferrari are in the top 5 in a session on a quick 1-lap run. Wow. Yes, Ferrari, P4 and P8. Some very strong running. Maybe their updates have worked. I know they fast-tracked some for Styria. Whether they actually had some, so that they fast-tracked the ones for Hungary to Styria, but maybe they had some other ones? I don't actually know, but whatever's happened, it's working so far. Leclerc 6/10 clear of Vettel. Whether Leclerc had some wind benefits, because I heard there was a tailwind at one point going into turn 1, so he could have had I got confused there between tailwinds and headwinds. I thought tailwinds slow you down, but they don't, they shove you up the butt. Whereas headwinds smash you in the face. Got confused. So yes, Leclerc could have had a tailwind going down the main straight, which would have boosted his straight line performance, which Ferrari are lacking in. So perhaps maybe their true performance is Sebastian Vettel in P8. We'll have to wait and see in qualifying. It's in a few hours' time. But Red Bull didn't upload a picture or a decent picture of their practice 3 running, so it's a picture from practice 2, but their car is a mess. It's not working and Verstappen does not like it. They had the suspension off, they were changing some torsion bars and things like that on the suspension arms, front and rear, I think, definitely rear, possibly the front, but as evident by Alex Albon down in P12, the car isn't working. The car is a bit too much to handle, and I don't think the drivers are liking it at all. And definitely to be outperformed by at least one Ferrari will be definitely disheartening to them, and I feel this is a race that the Racing Points may genuinely properly be quicker than the Red Bulls. And moving to a team that I feel has also slipped a little bit, McLaren. 7th and 11th, not too much separating them, just 4/10ths of a second between Norris and Sainz, but definitely not. I don't think it's where they wanted to be. I think to be in front of one racing point, I think, is McLaren's target, in my mind anyway. Definitely Ferrari, so to see Ferrari up in 4th and Norris down in 7th. But again, it's all still to play for, it is only practice 3. But AlphaTauri, again, in the top 10, nice and quick. But Gasly is having issues. Lots and lots of issues. Didn't run in practice 1. Ran a little bit in the rain in practice 2. But still, again, had some engine issues. Some barbecue smells and stuff coming from the back of that car. And even in practice 3, although he's set a P9 time, he was still complaining of no power and also engine issues. And then for Kvyat to be down in P17... not ideal in the slightest for that team. It's going to be difficult for them to get into Q2. They have the pace, it's just whether they have the reliability. But Renault, a tricky day. I don't think they've had the best weekend so far. Again, they should be able to get comfortably into Q2, and looking at practice 1, 2 and 3, well mainly 1 and 3, they have the pace to get into Q2 and maybe Q3. It should be okay, but I don't know. Renault, they haven't gone up in a way that McLaren has. They've just sort of they've gone bleh. You know when you sit down and your thighs do that thing and they go bleh? That's kind of what Renault have done. They've gone bleh. That's the best way I can describe them. But a team that mightily impressed, Williams. P14, George Russell. Solid running. 8/10ths faster than Nicholas Latifi down at P20. Unfortunately, last. But Q2 potential, 100%. 100% Q2 potential for George Russell there. But Haas need to get it right in order to bump Russell out of Q2. If Haas are like they are right now, 15th and 16th, they're not going to be happy bunnies at all. To be behind both Renaults, to be behind both McLarens, behind a Williams even, Haas won't be too happy with that at all. And finally, the team that will be the least happy from this weekend so far, Alfa Romeo. Honestly, it's just disappointing. It really is quite disappointing. It's 18th and 19th. Quite a lot of laps in practice 3, to be honest. Usually the trend is about 20, and they've done 20 and 25, so a little bit on the high end. But yeah, to be 18th and 19th, that car is not working. Clearly the Ferrari power unit is down. We know that. Mattia Binotto has finally admitted that the technical directives of last year have impacted their power unit performance. But now it's just highlighting how rubbish of a chassis Alfa Romeo have built. When in 2018 they were sometimes best of the rest, and now they're fighting to not be last, which is a bit disappointing. It's kind of like Williams. I think I've said this before. Alfa Romeo are doing a Williams just 2 or 3 years in advance, which is a bit of a shame. But that is all for practice 3. Join me in a few hours. I don't actually know. It's 20-1 at the minute. I don't know when qualifying starts, because I heard on the commentary, join us in 3 hours. I thought, wait, what? 3 hours? I thought it started at 2. Who knows? Some point they'll be qualifying today, and we will know who's on pole position. Well, that's qualifying all done. It's currently 3:30, and that was incredible. Absolutely incredible. So we start the story in Q1, and I'm going to sort of go from the bottom to the top. We start with Alfa Romeo, 19th and 20th. Very disappointing. They were a 10th off of Grosjean in the Haas, who is next up. Actually, I tell a lie. Another picture of an Alfa Romeo. Haas next up, 16th and 18th. Again, a little bit disappointing for 4 Ferrari-powered cars to be out in Q1. Really, yeah, that's a head-scratcher. Yes, we know that the Ferrari power unit is down on power, but Ferrari themselves are doing quite well. 6th and 13th in Q1, for example, doing quite well in the practice sessions, and as you will find out later on, have done quite well. So to see the other Ferrari-powered cars not doing so well, it's a bit of a struggle. So there must be a significant difference in the aero packages for Haas and Alfa Romeo that mean they are slow, that they are very slow, and they are mixed with the Alpha Tauri of Danny Kvyat in P17. But what you will notice is that both Williamses are out. Nicholas Latifi and George Russell are into Q2. Holy crap, both Williams is into Q2 after an abysmal year in 2019. Both Williams is out of Q1 for the first time since Monza of 2018, which honestly, that's not that long ago. 2018, who do they have in the car then? The Russian Sirotkin and Stroll? Yeah, I think Stroll, because Ocon was in the Racing Point at the time. A long time ago, but also not that bad. What I'm trying to say is an incredible performance from Williams in Q1, and we move now to Q2. Sort of some big surprises, I think. We start with Renault. Renault will be disappointed. Renault will be very, very disappointed with that. Not to get any cars at all into Q2, or Q3, sorry, as my chair squeaks significantly. They're down in 11th and 14th for Renault. Really not ideal, but it was so close. It was so close. I mean, Ricciardo was a tenth and a half off of getting in, but I mean, from 11th with Ricciardo, 12th with Russell, 13th with Albon, which we'll get onto in a bit, and then Ocon in 14th. There was only about 75 hundredths, less than a tenth, covering 4 cars. It was so close for that last spot, but they were still a tenth and a half away from Q3. And speaking of Alex Albon, P13 in a Red Bull, behind a Williams of George Russell, and behind a Renault of Danny Ricciardo, and out in Q2. And remember that before we were going into this weekend, Toto Wolff was saying the Red Bull is going to be the biggest challenge that Mercedes face this weekend. He's down in P13. He's behind a Williams. What challenge is he going to face? Red Bull's car isn't working at all how they would like in the Hungaroring, and it doesn't help that Alex Albon is 8 tenths from Max Verstappen in this session. Verstappen comfortably through in third on the soft tyres, a 14.9. Albon down in 13th, out in Q2 on a 15.7. How? But back to Williams again, a mega qualifying, and it was in the dry. So last week, Russell got into Q2, so 2 Q2 sessions in a row for George Russell and Williams. But to do it in the dry, that's an immensely impressive performance from the Grove-based team. Immeasurably, infinitely more, I've lost the word. Infinitely more impressive, there we go, impressive than last weekend's run in the rain. Yeah, that's an outstanding performance. But we get to the racing points now. They almost cocked it up. 7th and 9th, but they are through on the medium tyre, which is why they almost cocked it up. Mercedes, again, comfortably through on the medium tyre. 7 tenths to Verstappen on the softs. Leclerc, Norris, Vettel, Gasly, Sainz, all on the soft tyres. But the 2 racing points and the 2 Mercedes on the mediums. But the racing points really did cut that fine. But they went out again for their final run, again on another pair of mediums. So I kind of feel that it was a bit more tense than Racing Point were feeling, because if they were feeling tense and a bit worried that they weren't going to make it through, they'd have gone out on the soft tyre, sort of pushed very hard, realised that, we're safe, back off tremendously so we can still start on the mediums. That didn't happen, they went out on the mediums again. So I feel like they felt in themselves that they had the pace, which I suppose if you have a car like that, you need to. You need to know that your car is going to be able to do that, and you have to have the trust in it in order for yourself to set in order to set yourself up well for the race. You need to have the trust in your car that your car is quick enough to do it on the correct tyre, rather than having to fall back and use and scrub another pair of soft tyres. But definitely cutting it fine. But now it is time for Q3. We have the contenders, the top 10 contenders. Who is going to grab pole position? It is Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, a 90th pole position, a 1 minute 13.4, just a blitzingly quick new lap record, only a 10th to Valtteri Bottas, which isn't that bad. Not as dominant as his pole position last weekend, but 9/10 of a second. 9/10, almost a second back, is P3 Lance Stroll in the Racing Point. Bearing in mind the Racing Point is essentially a looky-likey version of the 2019 Mercedes. So Mercedes have managed to take a car that won last year's championship. In a year, they have made another car which can go a second quicker than it did last year. Give or take a little bit, as Racing Point have made it look-alikey. It's not a carbon copy. They've not just taken all the bits and gone, yep, this is our car that was literally Mercedes last year's runner. They've changed it slightly, so that can be a little bit of a leeway there. But still, 9/10 of a second. The Mercedes is on rails. You look at it on board, they are committed. They are just bolted onto the track. Hamilton has said it's the best car that Mercedes has ever built. The best car. How? They've been going for 6 years. How has no one else managed to catch up to them? That, to me, is what is so impressive about Mercedes. They have been able to keep improving, keep pushing the boundaries, and it always amazes me whenever a performance like this comes out. Yes, it's another Mercedes 1-2. It's their 65th front row lockout, and they've only been in the sport 10 years, and their dominance only started 7 years ago. But to be a second clear, an entire second, it's ludicrous, and I will never tire of seeing it. And I can't really say I'm a fan of Mercedes. I'm a fan of the sport, and I haven't tired of seeing a Mercedes 1-2. If they keep pulling out gaps like this and just, oh yes, please, more. I know that lots of people are going to say no, why? But to me that is impressive, that is stunning work. Other people just need to do it. Other people need that drive, the invention of DAS, the little niggles with their rear suspension. Other teams need that passion, they need it to be able to get there. Then they can challenge Mercedes, and then we will have a fight like it was last year. Yes, Ferrari had a slightly illegal engine, but we still had a fight. We need someone up there that can fight them rather than just themselves. Anyway, wow, that was a 4-minute rant about that. Wasn't expecting to go that deeply and sort of, whew, Jesus. Right, what's next on my list? Ferrari, P5 and P6. Holy shit, what a good qualifying for the Scuderia. In front of Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is down in P7, 1.4 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. That is just ridiculous. A 14.8 was basically Hamilton's Q1 time, and that's as fast as Max Verstappen can go. That's bonkers. Like I said just a little bit before, Red Bull were thought of as by Mercedes to be the threat. They're down in P7, behind Ferraris, who were nowhere in race 1 and race 2. Stunning. But yes, we move to Max Verstappen, P7. Shocking. Hopefully, race pace is a little better, but judging by the setup and the fact he's still not happy in that car. And Red Bull just haven't got it right this weekend. They had it right in race 1. Albon looking good for the win, on the right strategy, on the right tyre. Yes, unlucky, punted off by Hamilton. Hamilton got the penalty, yada yada yada. Race 2. What happened in race 2? Bit unfortunate, Albon wasn't really there and it was just Max Verstappen left alone to fight with 2 Mercedes. Couldn't really do it. But this race, they're not even close. They're not even in the same league. Not even Racing Points are in the same league this weekend. But finally, McLaren. P8 and P9. Good session, cracking session for them, good day to get into Q3, both cars. But, I feel there could have been a squidge more. I feel they wanted a squidge more to maybe be P6, maybe be P7. But P8 and P9, it is all to play for in the race. Still, second in the Constructors. One Red Bull is years behind them in P13, so it should be okay for them. As long as they get at least one car in front of Verstappen and then both cars scoring points, that will be an incredibly good day for McLaren there. And finally, Gasly, P10. Managed to make it through after all his issues. I don't have a picture of him as I'm just including this bit off the top of my head. I don't even have him written down in my notes. But yes, Gasly, P10. Issues throughout the entire weekend. All week he's had about the engine, and even throughout qualifying. Complaining, no power, no nothing. Engine is slow, yada yada yada. His team said we are unable to fix it in this session, but he still makes it through. Yes, he didn't set a time because they were fixing the car, but he still made it through, and he will start P10. Whether he'll get a choice of... Yeah, he will get a choice because he did set some time. He'll start on the soft tyres, I don't know what... No, scrap that. But, wow, what a qualifying. Incredible. Definitely, tomorrow, Mercedes race to lose. 100%. Who's going to win? Hamilton. Yeah, Hamilton. It's a difficult track to overtake. Hamilton's won here 7 times. And he was bolted to the circuit, much like Valtteri Bottas, but I just don't think he's had it this weekend. He definitely had it in race 1, and not really in race 2. And I just feel Hamilton is in that state of mind, he's in that place that's it, untouchable. As for the podium, again, podium is Racing Points to lose. As for whether it's going to be Stroll or Perez, I think Perez has the better race pace of the pair, as Stroll isn't on the same level as Perez in terms of race pace and racecraft and looking after your tyres, yada yada yada. What about further down the grid? What can Verstappen do? I feel race pace, Verstappen... do I though? Do I think he's going to beat the Ferraris? I think he's going to beat one. I think he's going to beat one of them. So it's going to be Mercedes 1-2, Hamilton, Bottas, Perez is going to be the podium. Stroll will probably be P4 unless something goes horrifically wrong. As long as Racing Point get their strategy right, they should be alright. Then it's going to be a Ferrari, couldn't tell you which, then Verstappen, then a McLaren, then another Ferrari, then a McLaren, and then maybe a Renault. We'll see. We shall see. That's it for my qualifying review. I will see you tomorrow after the race. Right, I need to try and keep this bit short and sweet. The video is dragging on, it's about 35 minutes long already, but we've had the race. The race is done. Let's get into it straight away as I don't want to drag it on any longer than I need to. So it was an enjoyable day for Lewis Hamilton. 8 wins at the Hungaroring. However, we start with Max Verstappen and Red Bull, we will actually start with as a whole, crashed on his way to the grid. Not on the formation lap, luckily. If he did, that would be it. Race done and dusted. It was on the way to the grid, I think it's called the reconnaissance lap or something like that. Before the formation lap, just leaving the garage, going round. Yeah, crashed, binned it, turned 12. But the mechanics managed to repair it. Only light suspension damage or wheel damage, so nothing too major. If he did hit it a little bit harder, that would have been curtains. And that would have been a little bit embarrassing for someone of Verstappen's caliber in the rain, to be heralded as this rainmeister, to crash like this on the way to the grid before the start of the race. not a good little thing to have by your name there. But anyway, to fight back from P7 on the grid to P2, not bad in the slightest. The race did start on the intermediate tyres, quickly dried up though. But yeah, fighting back to P2, solid performance. But Alex Albon, again, smashing performance. P13 to P5, the performance he needed. Got past Sebastian Vettel as well, quite nicely. However, he's not being investigated, but he could receive a hefty penalty as his team allegedly dried his grid slot. So you know they've got those like leaf blower things that they call the brake ducts and stuff with. They apparently blew the tarmac, I don't know why I said hoovered, the tarmac on his grid spot and allegedly dried out his spot before the start of the race. Which is a big no-no. Big no-no. But moving from Red Bull and a solid performance after their shocking practice and qualifying, we move to Mercedes. Dominant is all I can say. Lewis Hamilton pretty much lights the flag, fastest lap as well, but it wasn't all plain sailing. Well, for Hamilton it was. For Valtteri Bottas, he got a shit start. Down to, I think it was like P5 or P6 after lap 1, and basically just had to fight his way back from there. But at that point, Hamilton was gone and there was no chance of a Mercedes battle for the lead. But P3, not bad after falling back that much. And now to Racing Point. As I said in my qualifying little review just a couple minutes ago, it was their podium to lose, locking out the second row of the grid. P3 and P4 comfortably quicker than the Red Bulls, and they lost it. They lost the podium. They don't have the race pace, or they don't have the racecraft, the knowledge of running at the top like Red Bull and Mercedes do. They don't have it, and it shows. They should have got the podium today. Yes, it started under intermediate conditions, but it really was their podium to lose. And for Perez to be down a lap as well in P7 behind a Ferrari and Albon, yeah, that shows that still something, even though they've got a Mercedes looky-likey, everything needs to work in order to be Mercedes. That's why they're so good. They have everything. They have the car, they have the immense team and strategy. Sometimes they get it a little bit wrong. And they have solid drivers. And so far Racing Point just have the car, and they don't really have the strategy, and they don't really have the drivers either. Yes, Perez is a solid driver, but he's been out-qualified twice by Stroll this year, and he's been out-raced. So clearly not as good as people are saying. But moving quickly on, as time is of the essence today, I wanted to keep this under 50 minutes, hopefully. Jesus, this is going to be a long one. Ferrari. Little bit disappointing. 5th and 6th on the grid, and just one car in the points, 6th and a lap down. Leclerc in 11th, miles away from the points. Not a good day at all. It just shows as well that their race pace just isn't there. It's just not there at all. Vettel was passed by Albon quite nicely in the latter stages of the race, but it fell apart for Ferrari after a solid qualifying, a good morale boost in qualifying, and it falls apart in the race. And the same with Renault. Again, mixed day for Renault. One car well within the points, Danny Ricciardo, 8th place, scoring 4 points for the team, but Ocon down in 14th and well outside of the points. Both cars admittedly starting outside of the points out in Q2, but it's disappointing to see Renault always here. They've been here last year. They were okay. 2018 they were actually a little bit better, but 2019 they were here, and now 2020 they're here still. It's frustrating seeing them just on the fringes of points when you want to see them progressing, and they're a manufactured team. They should be able to oh god. Anyway, away from Renault and to Haas. Brilliant day. Excellent day for Haas. Strategy on point. On point strategy. They made the move to slicks beautifully. They were up to P3 and P4 at one point in the race, pitting before everybody else, made the right calls, and they reaped the rewards. Magnussen scoring 2 points for the team. Yes, both are lap down. Yes, Grosjean is down in P15, but that's Romain Grosjean. Kevin Magnussen is clearly the better driver in the Haas team. Grosjean needs to go, really, and they need to bring up like Fittipaldi, maybe Enzo Fittipaldi, or even Louis Delatraz, or someone like that, as they're both their reserves, but they need someone else other than Grosjean in that car. And I mean, maybe Magnussen as well, but he's definitely a good, solid lead driver in the Haas team, and it shows, scoring 2 points today. But we get to the first disappointment of today's race, McLaren. Bit of a poor showing, I must say. Sainz P10, picking up 1 point, Norris P13. Both cars into Q3, 8th and 9th, I believe. Yes, there was a little mishap in the pit lane with Sainz and Latifi, causing Latifi to spin and get a puncture and finish 5 laps down, but we'll get onto that a bit later. P10 and P13, that's not good for McLaren. They're not going to be happy with that in the slightest after 2 very strong and competitive races in Austria, which probably may have been just a wee little fluke in performance there from the team. I'm not 100% sure. They need another strong race. They've got 2 weeks now before Silverstone, and they need a strong race to bounce back. And on to the second disappointment, the only DNF, AlphaTauri with Pierre Gasly. It was a bit of an up and down weekend for Pierre. Awful practice, constantly complaining about his engine, manages to make it into Q3, which is really solid running from Gasly, and then he still retires in the race. Kvyat only manages to make it to P12. Just not a good day all around for the AlphaTauri squad. And as for the other Alfa Romeo, again, abysmal. Started on the last row of the grid, only managed to make it to P16 and P17. It's nothing good. I don't know what's good. They've got really weird looking airboxes. Why is that a proper looking triangle? What? Anyway, Alfa Romeo, not good. Bad day. Nothing really went right. I think that's the most they can extract from the car, but it's just disappointing. And finally, the last disappointment, Williams. P18 and P19. Issues for Latifi, yes, with signs and spinning and punctures and all sorts, but their race pace is still bad. A cracking qualifying, a solid qualifying from both of them into Q2 for the first time since Monza 2018, but to be both last of the runners, 1 lap and 5 laps down. Yes, Latifi had his incidents, but that's just really disheartening after such strong performances on Saturday. It's not what you want to see. It really isn't. Right, how am I doing for time? Okay, got a little bit of time left to go over the championships. I've got them all working. If you'd have checked out the pre-race review for Hungary, I showed them after Styria, and here they are after Hungary. Lewis Hamilton now leads the championship on 63 points after bagging the fastest lap as well. Bottas on 58, Verstappen up to 3rd on 33, then Norris, Perez, Albon, Leclerc, Stroll, Sainz, Vettel, Ricciardo, Gasly, Ocon, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Kvyat are your point scorers, with Latifi, Raikkonen, Russell and Grosjean yet to score. As for the constructors, Mercedes have just waltzed away already, 121 points, more than double Red Bull's 55, who are now in 2nd. McLaren and Racing Point are tied on 40, Ferrari in 5th on 27, then Renault, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo and Haas, who are joint on 2 points, and Williams yet to score. I've also got some little graphs as well. So here is the Drivers' Championship, and you can see Hamilton has got past Bottas after just 3 rounds. Verstappen has clearly poked his head up above all of the midfield cars. The McLaren had a little bit of a horizontal. You can see Leclerc as well, constantly just horizontal. Vettel slightly poking himself up above the Renaults and just below the other McLarens, as sort of Racing Points are there with Albon and such. And it's definitely more evident in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes, gone. Poof, gone. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised this year if they win every single race, or at least go on to win more than 8 races in a row like they did last year. It's easily obtainable for them to do that. But we've got Red Bull just poking above McLaren and Racing Point, then Ferrari just below them, Renault, AlphaTauri, and then Alfa Romeo, Haas and Williams. However, issue with the Constructors' Championship, if Mercedes are constantly 1 and 2, and now we've got Red Bull, McLaren and Racing Point that could be fighting for podiums, and maybe even Ferrari at some points, they're all going to keep taking points away from each other, as each weekend one of the teams is going to be better than the other, as seen slightly today with one of the Racing Points being in front of Albon, taking points away from Red Bull or whoever's going to be in second place, and just allowing Mercedes even more of an advantage to get away. So it's looking incredible for Mercedes, and just a bit annoying really for everybody else, just jostling for second place when they should be not as such working together as you then giving points away to other people, but it's just allowing Mercedes to just stretch their legs and piss off with the championship. But I've been recording for 13 minutes. I think it's going to be about 45, maybe 46 minutes long. That is all I've got for you today, guys, for my Hungarian race weekend review, and I will catch you in the next video with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.